Howdy, partners. This is Doc Moses with the beginning, the intro of my series on uh, the Economical Cowboy. How to do this inexpensively, relatively inexpensively. The sport we've got, a lot of fun. We're going to talk about all of that, but I'm doing some short videos on each of these ways you can not make the mistakes that I made. And I'm not particularly a great shooter. I enjoy it. I go once a month, and then I try to do one large match a year. Um, but it's great fun. It's a real relaxer for me. I'm a teacher by trade. I teach a little private school in East Texas, Brook Hill School, great place. Teach music and Bible there. But let's start off. So what got me into this? This little backstory. All these videos are going to be about 20 minutes. So is I had I love 44s. And when my kids were getting into high school, it's like, I want to get a 44 pistol that I'm just going to buy it new. I'm not going to look for a great deal. I'm going to, not going to be stupid, but I'm going to buy it. And that way I'll know it hadn't been treated badly. 44 Magnums get treated badly by, there's some crackheads out there trying to load them up like they're a 50 caliber machine gun. So I did that, and I was looking at Red Hawks and Black Hawks. I ended up with a Black Hawk, Super Black Hawk, 4.6-inch barrel. Loved it. Had the plain unfluted cylinder. Hated that, but I thought, well, I'll just get with Ruger and get a fluted cylinder because they put one on the 5.5. Well, as you know, if you're in this game, Ruger don't play that. Ruger is a great company, but they're kind of like Apple and Macintosh. They can control your experience. So yes, they put the fluted cylinder on the 5.5. They won't put it on anything else. They won't let you buy it for anything else. So I like the gun, but not shooting it a whole lot. Moved from Oklahoma to Texas, and got on our safety team at the school. So I was shooting a lot of tactical type stuff, 9mm crap, and thought, well, I'll just sell this gun. I don't really like it that much, and I'll just sell it. Well, nobody wanted it. Put it in at our big range in their display case. So I got it back. Nobody even looked at it. And then periodically I'd looked for a fluted cylinder, so I got back on eBay, and there's a whole set of parts. A whole set of parts. I'm going to show you some of them. For a Ruger, everything except the frame. And it had a cylinder. Even the barrel here. You know what I mean? It had all this stuff for 44. So I got all that and had my fluted cylinder. Then I started loving the gun, and it's like, I want something to do with this. Well, by now my kids have grown up. They're out of the house. I'm in a new town. Don't have a lot of friends here. Hadn't been in Texas that long at that point. So discovered Cowboy Action Shooting. Had seen it online before, and wasn't really impressed. The costuming kind of scared me off. I'll talk about that a little bit in the costuming video. But this time it looked like great fun. So I did it. Now, I joined... decided to join in December of 2019. Joined, I think, February of 2020. Well, if you know your timeline, by mid-March of 2020, we were shut down for COVID. We didn't know what it was, and everybody was worried about it. So we shut down completely, and we were at home. We went home for spring break and never came back. We did teach our classes virtually, which is an experience. I was able to do that with Bible, not so much with the music classes, but we tried. So everything went up. You couldn't get toilet paper, but you couldn't get powder, you couldn't get primer, you couldn't get bullets, you couldn't get loaded bullets, and you couldn't get guns. So I bought all my guns at the wrong time. But my story is I had that one gun for Cowboy Action Shooting, that Super Black Hawk that I just loved, and I had a 22 Marlin lever 39A. And I had about $900 in an account. I was saving up to buy a tactical rifle. I was looking at an A10, AR-10. So I took that money and bought, another handgun to go with it. And you'll see that in the handgun class, a stainless steel old Vaquero. And then sold some guns, including that 22 lever, because 22s weren't allowed at the time, at least as far as I knew. So it would have been great if 22s would have been allowed, because then I could have shot that 22 Marlin, which I never really loved, but it is a great gun. It just didn't appeal to me. Had the one pistol. I could have taken that money and bought a shotgun, because I'm not a shotgun guy, And then I could have just got a cheap 22 like the Ruger Wrangler or a Heritage, and shot that way until I could save up without having to sell these other guns to get the money. So that's what I want to first off encourage you to think about is if economics is important, the cheapest way to do this sport is on 22s. It's a lot of fun. The 22s don't hold up as good as the centerfire weapons do, but they're fun and they're inexpensive. And Ruger makes a great product. I don't own a Heritage, but I have people who do, and they say it's not quite as nice as the Ruger, but it doesn't cost as much either. And it does the job. So Heritage is there. And then, of course, there are things like the Ruger Single 6 that are expensive. So first, that was a little story. So the first thing I want to encourage you to do if you're getting in this sport, this game, is you don't want to spend a lot of money. We're being economical. Print off the rule book. Put it in a notebook. Then when you go through, because some of these things, when you see them in print, they make a little bit more sense. You'll see I've highlighted some stuff there. Yeah, so do that, and then you can go back when you have a question in your head, like, wait, is this legal? I think it was. You can find it in there because you've highlighted it. The rules get modified a little each year, but they'll post those modifications on the SAS wire. That's the second advice. Check the SAS wire, the Saloon and the SAS classifieds. You find out a lot of really important things on those. And I did not do that very well early on, and it cost me money because I missed out on some stuff, made some mistakes. So check the SAS wire. Let's see. And now, first off, being an economical cowboy doesn't mean you don't have nice stuff. When we get to the videos on the guns, you're going to see that guy says economic. He spent way too much money, and that's true. I have. What we're trying to be economical is to do it right the first time, to not buy a bunch of stuff you don't need. The word is BOCO. Buy once, cry once. Buy the right stuff once, pay too much maybe, and then be happy with it. And that's what I was able to do with my shotgun, not able to do with my rifle. What I was able to do with my pistols. So buy once, cry once. So economical doesn't mean you won't have the nice stuff. It could be. You could get an inexpensive setup for the game and just run with that for 10 years and just be happy. A lot of times if you're busy raising kids and everything else, that may just be your release. You go to your one match a month and you shoot your inexpensive games. You have a great time, guns, and you have a great time, and then you go back and hit the grindstone again. So, but, or you could end up doing it like most of us, which we get into this just barely clawing, hanging on, and then we slowly add some stuff. So that now I'm very comfortable. I have backups, and I have a set of 22s that I use some of the time, but I have my real guns. So economical doesn't mean you don't get nice stuff. It just means you do it smartly. So the second thing was print the rule book. We talked about that. Number 3 is the categories. Now the categories are confusing. That's why you want to get the rule book. In general, you can follow the minimum standards for costume, minimum standards for guns. So you can have a Black Hawk that has adjustable sights, and just regular cowboy boots and a hat of some kind, and enjoy the sport. That's what most people shoot. There are some costume categories. The two foremost are B Western and then Classic Cowboy, but there's some other ones. Some clubs will run Josie Wells. There's some odd gun ones like Cody Dixon. But all that aside, the age-based categories, just find the one that's your age group, sign up for that, you shoot it. Then there's the styles of shooting and all that, and we're not covering that in any of these videos because there's guys who are actually good at this sport who do videos on that. Deadeye, Long Hunter, watched a lot of those two guys' videos. There's some other ones out there I'm drawing a blank on. So you can watch that for style. So we'll do a video on this one, the intro. We'll do one on pistols, one on rifles, one on shotgun, and then one on clothes and leather. And that's a more important one than you think because a lot of people can spend a lot of money on leather. So watch that video for sure. But on any of these that you already have, those guns, you don't need to watch it. Just don't watch that one. This is great fun. Great fun. There's an old expression, it's the most fun you can have standing up. I don't know if that's true, but it is a lot of fun. And the reason it's fun is because even though we're not actually expending a lot of rounds at each match, you're doing Most matches are going to be 5 or 6 stages for a local. So you're doing, let's just say, a 5-stage match, local match. You're doing 10 pistol, 10 rifle, 4 shotgun. So at the end of the day, you've shot 50 pistol, 25 in each gun, 50 rifle, 24 shotgun. So 24, did I say that right? 4 times 5, 20. 20 shotgun. Yeah, I'm not a math teacher. So it's not, but because you're timed, and there's other people in your posse, and they're laughing and joking, having a good time. They're also helping you out, and you're watching. You're doing your part. You're spotting when it's your turn. You're picking up the brass when it's your turn. It puts that little extra element of tension to it, so it makes it more real. So it's trigger time, and you're acquiring the front sight. All those things that are valuable in shooting, but you're not doing it with a truckload of rounds like some of the tactical courses. Multiple reloads, and you've got your 50-round magazine and all that, 15-round magazine and all that stuff. So really is valuable in that way, and it's a lot of fun. And the actual shooting isn't that expensive because we don't shoot that many rounds once you get your guns. So this is a cheap shooting after the gun purchases, and that's why now with COVID, they opened up the sport to 22s. 22s don't generally get to compete for best overall cowboy or cowgirl. They're in their own category, generally from age 18 to 100. They're all in the same category. Not a lot of people shoot 22, but even the bigger competitions, like I'm going to Texas State this year, I won't be winning. They've got a 22 category. Cut down all the other videos to buy a 12-gauge shotgun and buy 22s. The cheapest way to shoot it. And it's really relaxing to be able to, after a week of work, this is my cowboy weekend, but I really need to reload some rounds and blah, 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 didn't clean my rifle. You grab 3 boxes of 22s, toss them in your gun bag with your 2 little Ruger Wranglers and your Henry lever and your shotgun. You go to the match, you have a great time. The 22 pistols fit in the same holsters that the big guns use. And then it's over and you had a good time, good fellowship, got some trigger time in. You got better at your sport. Even if you made a lot of mistakes, you know what you did and you can try not to do them next time. So a good cheap way to shoot. And I do want to, we just got a couple more quick points. One I want to point out is the culture at the matches and on the Saswire and things like that. We tend to be a pretty conservative group. Sometimes even to the point of being rude if there was somebody who wasn't conservative. We're also a fairly religious group. So online, they won't even let you cuss words, even small ones. Kind of got to watch that at the events too. You'll hear a little bit here and there where some people they just talk that way. But even they're trying to watch that. So kind of keep that in mind and don't blow your cover, so to speak, by talking a little bit trashy at the beginning until you get a feel for the lay of the land. Again, it's not a bunch of saints. I haven't met any of those at any of these matches, but we are fairly conservative and fairly conservative in how we speak. Not a lot of cussing, that kind of stuff going on. And then one of the funnest things about it is your posse, the group that you shoot with. So at our locals, we usually just have a couple of posses because we'll have 15, 20 people there. I've been to some where they had 3 or 4 posses that were bigger clubs. So I may not be in a posse with anybody in my category. So I may be shooting age-based, or I may be shooting classic cowboy or B-Western. Everybody else in my posse could be different ages or different categories if I'm shooting B-Western there and other stuff. So you don't really know if you won until it's all over. There may have been 4 people shooting classic cowboy, and you're one of them, but they're on different posses, so you don't know if they did well or poorly. And so then they announce the names at the end, and you hear your name. Hey, that's kind of cool. And even if you didn't win, you go, oh, I wasn't last place. That's what I'm shooting for, not being last. So that kind of makes it fun, and you're shooting with everybody. It's not, okay, classic cowboys in this posse, B-Westerns in this one, 49ers in this one, seniors in that one. We're all mixed together, so you can shoot with who you want, as well as it keeps you honest in your game. You're competing against yourself because you don't know if there's anybody else in your category, and they're probably not in your posse if there are. So you always get this mentality of I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get better. And you do that. Really makes it, I find that be quite fun. Um, so I mentioned the 22s are really the smart way to go. I encourage you, even though I'm trying to be economical here, is to get a setup of 22s because they're really fun and they're great backups to have if something goes wrong. Now, lastly, as I mentioned, I had my 44 and I had a 22 rifle, but they weren't legal yet. Now they are, so I could have shot that 22. My 44, I could have taken my money and bought a shotgun, and even if I got into savings, then got my other pistol, so I had all big guns except I still had that 22 lever. You're still in the 22 categories. So whether you're shooting 122 or all your guns are 22s, you're in the 22 category. So that makes it a little bit easier if you want to piece together your rig. You've got one gun that's a 22, another one that's a 22, and then the other two are your real guns. Then 2 matches later, you've replaced one of those 22s. You still got one 22. So you're still in that 22 category. You don't have to shoot all 22s to be in the category. If you shoot even 122, you're in that category. And that allows you to piece together your rig so you can do it as cheaply as possible. I think that's about all I had for this intro. On each of the videos on the categories, I'll end the video by telling you what I think is the cheapest way to go, and then short term, and then the cheapest way to go long term. I didn't mention the 22s in those categories very much because I mentioned it a lot here. That is the ultimately cheapest way to go. So kind of listen for that. Again, if you already have your pistols picked out, you don't need to watch the pistol video. I talk about the guns I've had and the guns I've seen, but I can't obviously talk about ones I haven't had. And on the shotgun video, I even forgot to talk about the pump shotgun, the 1887, and then there's a lever action I've never seen at a match, but there is a lever action 1885. Didn't mention those, forgot. There'll be some other things I'm sure I forgot, left out, but I made a lot of mistakes. I started at the worst time cost-wise to start. Everything costs too much. The prices are slowly coming back down now, and you can start to find things. I bought guns on Gunbroker. I bought guns off the SassWire. I sold guns on Gunbroker, sold guns on the SassWire to fund my addiction. So you can do all of that. It's a lot of fun. I hope you'll give it a try, and don't let the price scare you off. Once you get the firearms, whether you're 22s or a mix of 22s and centerfires, or you get to your real guns, your centerfires, once you get there, it's really inexpensive to shoot. Even if you're like a lot of the guys will do multiple matches every month. A lot of the guys who are retired, that's kind of their thing. They'll go during the cold months, they'll go down south and RV and hit, a match every weekend. And if that's your thing, or like where I'm doing, I'm still working, so I do one a month. If I miss that weekend because of work or something, I'll go to another nearby club that meets on a different weekend. And super fun. Don't let the price scare you off. 22s are good. Enjoy them. Ask to, when you get to a match, ask to see the other people's guns. I was very uncomfortable doing that, but the people really don't mind. And even if you're not shooting it, just working that lever on a super short stroke versus a non-short stroke, you can kind of get an idea of what it means. The same with the guns, handling a Ruger, which tends to be a little bit heavier than the Colt and the Colt clones, and saying, okay, that heaviness isn't a bad thing, or it really is, I dislike this, or the different barrel lengths. Yeah, just let them, they will let you handle the guns. They'll probably offer to let you shoot one, but if you're not comfortable with that because of the cost of ammo now and the primers and all, that's fine, but just get them in your hands, and that way when you order something, buy something off the line, the wire, you're in good shape. Last comment on the SassWire. If you buy something, you've got to realize that there are people out there who lie. I know, surprise, right? So when you go to buy something, people are going to look, or sell something, they're going to look at your SAS number. If you haven't been in SAS but a couple of weeks, they're probably not going to send you any money to buy anything from you. Because people get on there and lie and fake that stuff. And when you go buy something, if you see a deal that's too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So check their SAS number. If it's an old number, okay, maybe so, and then check their communications when you get to their page. It'll show who's been on their page. And a lot of times, what older cowboys and cowgirls will do is they'll chime in down there. I've worked with this guy before. He's a great partner. He's a great guy you can deal with. You can sell stuff to him or you can buy stuff from him. So do understand that since you're the newbie, there's going to be caution out there. And when I bought Guns on the Wire, I sent them my money, USPS money order, before I saw the gun. And then when they got it and it cleared, then they sent me the firearm. So there's a bit of trust that's involved. And understand that until you've been in for a couple of years, you're the odd man out. So know that. Don't get your feelings hurt. And good luck. And I hope you enjoy as much as we have. And I hope these videos are helpful. The Economical Cowboy or Cowgirl.